What's up, Rockstars? I have a great video for you guys. We have a ton of new announcements to show, some new games on Kickstarter, on Gamefound. We're going to be discussing a big achievement of Gamefound. There's a lot to go over. So we got like The Witcher coming up. We got 6 Siege update. We got it all. So stay tuned. All right, now before we get into that, I just want to let you guys know about a big sale for End of the Game. They're not sponsoring this video specifically, though I am always wearing their shirts. They're freaking awesome. But they actually just launched a 60% off, like, huge end of season sale, and there is always that 10% code in the description below. So again, they didn't actually ask for this video. I'm just actually excited to get you guys some savings. So if you didn't already buy some stuff, feel free to check it out. You can save a ton of money. So just real quick, showing you what I mean by here. Like, for instance, you can get this pack at less than $20. And in fact, even less than that per shirt with my link. So go ahead and do that. It does help the channel out. And I'm honestly just a fan of their stuff and want you guys to save some money and get some cool stuff. So feel free to check that out. Moving on from that, we do have Farms Race. Now, Farms Race is, it's kind of a weird way to say, like, Farms Race, sort of like Farm Race, but I can understand why they did that. It says it's by one of the creators of Cards Against Humanity. I don't know how many people made that game. I'm not sure how many people needed to make it, but I imagine it was mostly a group of friends. Either way, what this is it's kind of like Catan, but if Catan involved mutant flying pigs and nuking, like, the chicken civilization. So it's wacky, it's weird, it looks like a lot of fun. If this is something you like, where you do this area control and you get this resource ramping up and stuff like that and production going and stuff. So as you can see, resources, buildings, and nukes and conquest, right? So it's mostly on the conquest side of the 4X kind of thing. So more of the exterminate. Either way, 2,668 backers, still 54 hours to go. So this is like a last warning for you guys. Go ahead and, again, in the link in the description, there's a ton of different links there for each of the games I'm covering, plus more. So feel free to search those at your leisure. 214,000 raised, and it's actually not too bad. It's like $45 for the first edition. If you want the deluxe edition, it's $80. The deluxe edition, they do go over what it does. I like the upgrades in the deluxe edition. What I don't like is the gameplay that's also in the deluxe edition. So you might kind of want that. You get a sticker, woohoo. You get a bag, you get wooden tokens and tuck boxes, stuff like that. So, it's okay. But they do also add additional mutant cards and spy cards. So, and an extra region of each resource. So you can actually, like, do more map customization. You can get more stuff, 25 extra resource cards, right? So there's all this extra stuff in there that really enhances the gameplay. And I don't like putting that in a deluxe. I wish that was just in the core game and they just upgraded the components, but that's not what they did. So whether or not you get the 81 or the 45 one, I think both are a fairly good deal. So I don't think they're, like, outrageously priced or anything. Just keep that in mind if you're getting the regular one, that you are missing out on a few cards. I don't want to necessarily push to FOMO. They're really pushing to FOMO. I'm just reporting on it, but kind of a bummer that they did that. Mythic Mischief Volume 2. I actually just backed this morning. So this is actually very much a thinking man's game, which means I am prepared to lose at it. It's difficult. It's so nuanced, and you can really get some AP there, though they do have modes that time the decisions. Essentially, what you're doing here is you have this, like, hedge maze and this guy that's going around and going to a predetermined spot, but then you have all these abilities to move yourself and move the enemies around you, the other players around you, to then get them caught, essentially, and get a point for that. Now, there's also areas of the map that have, like, essentially things that can upgrade your abilities, so you can do your abilities more often or do more complex moves. And then, of course, they have an ultimate ability. They have, each faction does differently, and even when you get the point, they then get to place their unit anywhere that, like, makes sense. There's a few restrictions. So they actually kind of gain a boost from that too. So it's not exactly like a haha, I got you kind of thing. It's actually pretty cool. The only difference is that ruins any, like, play if you were planning a few turns ahead, which I don't know if you could even do. It's like chess on steroids, guys. It's pretty crazy. They do have, so right here, they do have the online, so that you can go to, this is how I played it to see if I liked it or not. You can go on your mobile device, you can download it right now, it's free. For now, all the factions are free as well. You can just go ahead and play it either locally or online. Super cool, highly recommended if you are unsure if you want the game or not. Just do that. It's free. It'll cost you a couple minutes. You watch the little how to play video and you're good to go. So very, very cool. I think it'll be easy to play, easy to table. and then difficult to win is how I would probably describe this game. This has essentially, it is volume 2. They've had some faction expansions ahead of volume 1. This is adding 4 new factions, all with unique abilities and stuff like that. So they do have the 4 new factions here. They have gargoyles, they have fairies. Those are I tried the fairies and the gnomes, and then they also have werewolves, and they do act differently. They're all doing kind of similar things to an extent, and they do have some similarities, but then they do have some things that just are different for them that they can do. And knowing that they can do that and planning against that can sometimes come in handy. It's an interesting game for sure. Definitely recommending it though. They do have $59 here. You can actually on their website get volume 1 right now for $59 as well. So it also comes with 4 factions. So it's pretty much the exact same game. So if you want to go ahead and double dip and get the volume 1 now, I would suggest doing that. Just go ahead and do that versus getting it in here and then getting it eventually with volume 2. Or if you just want to try it out first, go ahead and buy it right now. It may even be at your friendly local store, so you can check to see if they have that. But anyway, they have that, and they have some of the other stuff available too. But honestly, again, if you can just buy it directly from them and you can get it now, I highly suggest that versus being out of money for longer. All right. Also, we have Flock Together. There's a lot of farm junk going on here, animal stuff going on. I don't know. But anyway, Flock Together, an asymmetric cooperative game. This one looks like a lot of fun too. It's super premium. It's the first game by Sea Cow Games, and they are successfully funded. 74,000, almost 1,000 backers is a great number to be at. It's still 30 days ago, so still plenty to go here. You essentially play as these little farm animals, all these like chickens essentially, and you start out as a chick, and you can keep flipping that book and you upgrade it. You keep getting new abilities, and then also the art changes too. So you keep like growing up essentially and getting stronger. The enemies, though, do the exact same thing. So the predators are also leveling up. And you have essentially all these resources like eggs and then all the little tokens, stuff like that. And you're using your abilities and using your resources to be able to combat these predators, essentially. So that's kind of how the game plays. As you can see, it's about 79 USD for the copy of it. It comes preloaded with super nice, like premium quality stuff. There's no stretch goals or anything like that. What you see is what you get. So you're not having to pay extra for the wooden tokens. You just get them. They just already are wooden tokens. All these eggs are heavy resin eggs, so that's very nice and should stay pretty sturdy there. They got all the cheeples instead of meeples. I like that. So honestly, it looks really, really pretty. You even get like resource bowls and stuff. Like, this is nice, guys. This is really, really nice. So definitely I would suggest that, just if nothing else, to support a new creator, an indie creator, and somebody who's honestly just trying to provide something of quality instead of doing the whole FOMO thing. That is kind of nice. Next up, we have Barrage Newlands. If you have played the first one, you already know what you're getting to. If you haven't, again, it's another heavy game where you're essentially going over this longboard. It's called the longboard and making these paths and doing these buildings, stuff like that. One of those kind of games, if that makes sense. The Colorado Connection and Duel are the new ones, and then the Newlands is just both of those combined. Duel is for 2 players specifically, so that's kind of cool. And then the Colorado Connection actually has like bridges and stuff like that you can put over to kind of change things up a little bit. Honestly, it looks pretty heavy of a game. So if that's something you like, definitely go for it. I get kind of anxiety just from looking at the game board map, but just my personal preference. But some people look at that map and they're like, oh my gosh, I want that. You can also buy like their entire backlog. So they're just like reprinting everything, which is kind of cool. I think that's pretty neat. And if you look, the actual cost isn't that much. $17 for the expansion, or $17 for the 2-player expansion. You can get both of them for about $26. So not too bad. And then you would add on like the base game if you don't have it yet. And the base game, as you can see, about 63 euros. So a little bit higher there, but still, I think within reason for today's prices. All right, next up we have Titan Terrains Series 2. This is doing very well. This is by Tabletop Titans. They do a lot of like Warhammer videos and stuff like that, and they're making their own terrain. This is that kind of pop-up terrain, but I think they did this a lot better. So I'll kind of explain that here. 685 backers, 187,000 raised. That's quite good. It is kind of pricey at $140 for the core set. However, you do get a whole table's worth there. But and then it just gets more and more expensive. So it's not exactly the cheapest way to get terrain. It is definitely the most compact way to get terrain though, for sure. And the quickest to set up, debatable. You roll out the mat and just plop buildings on there, that works too, actually. But as you can see, it folds nice and flat. For somebody who doesn't have a dedicated room like this, if you guys are playing on your dining table, if you guys are playing on your island or a fold-up table, the Alpha Gaming table's back there somewhere I used to do because I didn't have the room either. This kind of stuff is awesome because you can store it really well. Now, the problem I've had before with these is the skinny parts. So when you're playing tabletop games like Warhammer or something like that, there's like line of sight and stuff. And so when you get these like really skinny walls, you can kind of see it there. That can be a little bit of an issue just because it's not really like a column like it would be. It's this line. And it's like, oh, am I in partial cover then? It gets a little funny. They do it really well though, whereas for the most part, you don't see that. You do there, but often see like this. So actually like make it 3D, like a thick wall. Essentially you have two sides to it. And see like even here, this isn't flat. So here, this is just a wall there that can work. So like, I think they do it. See right here, same thing there. Does very good. Like these little posts here, not quite as good, right? And that little post there, not quite as good. But for the most part, they're doing a lot better when it comes to making this 3D and really usable by the, standards of Warhammer or some kind of tabletop game. And again, you can like get on top of it and stuff like that. Like it looks pretty cool. So a little pricey, but if you are into it and you do want to save some space or you just like the look of it, it's not too bad actually. Not too bad because it's all pre-painted, right? It all looks the same. Like you have a fully painted terrain set essentially for $140. That's when you look at it that way, it's not actually too bad. We also have objective control, tabletop game aids. I have another version of this. Another company had done this before, and I love them. They work super great. They stick to the neoprene mat, and they're flat. You don't get, odd measurements or anything like that, and it doesn't like cock the dice where it's like, because it's thick, so it's all angled or anything like that. Works really well. They did do a few things different here that I wanted to point out real quick. First of all, they have stuff like the measurement doohickey thing, right? They have that. But they also have deployment markers, which is very nice. I got a free set of some cardboard ones with the actual Leviathan box. However, I would love and probably will for $10 get these little clear ones that can stay on the board and really mark your objective versus somebody else's. Then they have the actual markers themselves. One of the cool things they have is they have stuff like faction specific markers or hazard stripes. That's pretty neat if you wanted to do that. And then they also have these terrain template. So essentially, you may put the terrain on there, but that kind of shows the measurement of it. First of all, you can pre-lay it out. Second of all, there's no question about whether or not the terrain started there or not. You just use that as the clear marker. Very cool idea. So I think they're actually doing a pretty good job. As you can see, there's also a few kind of like buffs and stuff like that. That one I think is even less useful, but there's definitely some stuff to look in here. And again, it's like cheap. So $40 gets you like everything you would need for one of those. Which is, again, not bad at all. In fact, they do have the early bird still available, although just a few. So for $35, you get all the ones you need to play a game, which I think is pretty cool. All right, announcements. The Witcher Path of Destiny. This is by Go On Board. This is not the old world. This is a very different game, and I will be playing it. I'll be showing it off here very soon, and it's on its way to me right now. So I will unbox this, talk through it. I'll be doing a review of it, and definitely talking about this. I'm excited. This is going to be big. It really is, and I'm all for it. This focuses more on story. And I think that's great. So they have the old world, which is very kind of combat. In fact, even has a little bit of PvP in there, right? This is like The Witcher, the board game, essentially. It's called Paths of Destiny, but very much when it comes to the RPG side of things, of going through the story and dealing with the world of The Witcher, this is definitely has that like feel to it in a strong sense, which I think is very, very neat. Essentially, what it is it has drafting. It has minis too and standees. You can kind of get either version there. They look very nice, obviously. So you have these tales. So these are kind of like you would go through one tale in your session, though there are many ways to go through it, right? So it's a very branching path, just like the RPG, right? And so what you do in these is you have essentially a tuck box with the Striga or the Edge of the World storyline or the Lesser Evil storyline, and there will be more. It even says more is coming. So I've already heard of some, and it looks really cool. So you get all the cards you need in that, and all the different game aid-ish kind of stuff like tokens and requirement cards and whatnot. So you'll get that for each one. Each one changes the mechanics slightly as well, which we'll get into shortly. But they do also have some fancy stuff like the playmat and the nice token stuff. It looks really, really nice, really cool. So you have this card drafting stuff where you actually go and you get like a group of cards, which I think is super cool. So you can kind of gather your cards there. And then you have essentially an ability to cast votes on where you're going and what you're doing or what you're dealing with in the story. So you might come up with something and be like, okay, you want to go this path or this path. And then everybody's kind of voting on what they want to do. And then based off what you do depends on where the path goes from there and how you do that. That's that branching storyline there. See, right? So as you're voting, you're kind of going through and doing that, which I think is very cool. So you turn to that and now you're going there. So very cool to see. And then of course you have the actual conclusion to everything. And then, of course, at the very end, you do get, okay, who did the best here, right? As you score the victory points there and see who exactly won. It's actually really cool. The story seems really nice. It's like the card gameplay there is a little bit more than you would think. You can kind of see some similarities here, right? With the symbols and stuff like that, a little bit to the old world. So you can kind of get a sense of the hand management there. It's not the same thing, obviously, but it is kind of like that. So very cool. There's a lot of info here and a lot of people were able to play at Gen Con. I didn't go to Gen Con. I apologize. I'll be at Essen Spiel, but I didn't get to Gen Con. So, I haven't played it yet, but I have kind of talked about it and talked to them about it, and it looks pretty good. So definitely on board for that. I'll let you guys know. If you want to look at that unboxing, that review, all that stuff, or be sure to subscribe. I will be showing this off as soon as I get it. All right, next up, we also have DestinyQuest Raiders, a new action-adventure game book. This is a solo dungeon crawler that has diceless combat. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, and again, it's called like a game book, or if the art looks good to you, it's very like old school, but still modern, and I really dig that as well, then this will be coming to Kickstarter. You can sign up now. I'll obviously link down to this in the description below. And of course, once it does hit Kickstarter, I'll let you know and I'll talk about it. We also have Haunted Lands. This is by Ludus Manda Studio. Pre-orders will launch at the end of September. Notice they're doing a lot of these pre-orders. They also did that to the dual expansion to Black Rose Wars, where they're essentially like, hey, we're just going to like make this quicker than a Kickstarter. And so you can actually just pre-order it there and we're off a Kickstarter. Both pros and cons. I think a lot of why they're off of Kickstarter is you avoid a lot of the desire to do the FOMO, the stretch goals, all that kind of stuff. Kickstarter also gets really cagey when you do have like, if you're doing too much. I think they're actually doing pretty good. I went and looked through their history, and the Arcanum is delivering soon. The second Black Rose Wars is delivering soon. So you got those two things. And they really have two outstanding ones beyond that they're also still making progress to. It seems pretty readily. So while they do have quite a few out, and I wish this wasn't quite end of September, just because they could almost deliver, if they had waited just a couple more months, they could almost get 2 additional games delivered before they launch this. But they seem to be delivering and producing kind of at a steady rate. So at least we're getting progress there. For a long time, they weren't. So I think they're doing better now. But let me know if I didn't catch something, by all means, because I know some people have been like, I don't know about LMS making so much stuff. So what is Haunted Lands? Well, there's not a whole lot of information here. They're going to come soon with a review and unboxings and rule books and all that. And I don't know. I've not been contacted, so I don't know what anybody's doing on that. But maybe there are some people that you kind of align with and trust, and you can get some information that way. So just a little bit of game mechanics. Again, I'll link down to this below so you can do that. I think there's a sign up as well. There is not, which is unfortunate. They should really be able to capture people. Sometimes I wonder how these companies operate. Don't announce something unless you can capture that person right then and there. Because otherwise, you guys might visit this, but then bounce and never come back. So I'll let you know when it's up, though. I'll let you know. All right, next up, Hello Kitty Day at the Park. This is kind of funny, actually. So first of all, already 1,000 followers, almost 2,000 followers. Do not underestimate Hello Kitty fanfare. Second of all, I have no idea how this game plays. They don't really say anything except you are exploring new tiles and collecting tokens and completing challenges to win. So I'm sure it's family friendly. I'm sure you're just doing, it sounds like kind of like mini game-ish, kind of where it's like, oh, there's this game system, you do this, or this game system, you do that. And that's how you get points. One of the cool things I think they did, I know, cool thing Hello Kitty's doing, is if you back within, I think, the first day, first 2 days, something like that, the early backer thing, you actually get a second copy to gift to a friend, which is so Hello Kitty. I think that's hilarious. Like, oh yeah, you're gonna like give a copy. So you literally get 2 copies if you, or I mean, if nothing else, you could like sell on eBay or something like that. I don't know exactly how easy or hard this will be to get, but either way, I think that's such in line with the IP. Very smart move. Very smart move. It's by Maestro Media, by the way. All right, Founders, that is coming out here very soon. As you can see, 6 days from now. So I will cover it once it launches. Again, stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't. I know half of you are not subscribed. I mean it. Like, go ahead and subscribe. It helps me out. It helps you out. Everybody wins if you do that. And this honestly looks like a cool one. I'm not going to reiterate everything I've said before, but essentially you're going through these tiles, and as you develop these tiles, they flip over and it's like ice. So eventually it just goes away. It's like breaking up, which is, I think, a very cool idea for a tile placement game to do. I think that sounds like a lot of fun, and the art is freaking gorgeous. So there's that too. All right, we're about to get to the 6 Siege update, but before that, a huge stretch goal unlocked for Gamefound. 1 million users on Gamefound. That is a big number, guys. That is a big number. That doesn't mean that's 1 million active, right? But like total, the amount of people that have signed up are 1 million. Now, I don't know, because I have, I think, 3 different accounts, because I used Gamefound when it first launched for some Pledge Manager stuff. And then I went on a wrong email once. I didn't, like, I wasn't logged in, and so I tried to log in, and I ended up creating another account. And then I have my like more legit updated 3rd account. So I have like 2 kind of active accounts, and 1 I never use, and sometimes I check just to make sure there's nothing due. Like when I moved, I wanted to check all the, deliveries of everything. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm counting as 3, but either way, 1 million users, super cool. And they kind of go through a little bit here. There's a message from Marcin here, which is very nice to see. They took everybody bowling. That's fun. Bowling's always fun, so that's cool too. And they're talking about a lot of the stuff that they're planning on doing, wanting to do, like take care of taxes and stuff like that. They also mention their like stretch pay, which I think is very cool to do. I think the first people who did this was actually Creative Game Studios with their Chronicles of Drugar Apocalypse. So back then it was like this like custom thing just for them that then Gamefound, I believe, like took and like legitimized and stuff like that, which is super cool. It really does help budget things, and it really does help ease in, because if nothing else, you're not out of all your money right away. So if for some reason they're acting fishy right afterwards, or shipping increases, which they have the safe shipping thing as well in Gamefound, there's some leeway there where you haven't given them all of your money yet. So that's kind of nice as well, I think. There's just a lot of benefit there. Obviously, you got to be an adult to be responsible, but you can do bad things with credit cards anyway, even without stretch pay. A lot of payment options, stuff like that. So they're doing quite good. This was interesting to see the top 5 campaigns of 2023. Obviously, the Elder Scrolls was really high on there. I was surprised to even see that Scarface made it on there. That is a fun, that's cool that we get such like indie works as well, and not just like the big named stuff that's IP driven, like the top 3. Though do notice, top 3 are all IP games. Do not underestimate IP. We love our IP. And finally, we have the 6 Siege, the board game update by Mythic Games, everybody's favorite creator, obviously. What is going on here? You can't see, I have dark mode on right now, because I like my eyes and don't want to strain them too much. But there is normally a super sad face here. I've clicked that. That's why you can barely see it there. I did that a long time ago, I think. So, what's going on here? Summer 2021 is like the little blurb there. That's hilarious. First photos of miniatures, mass production, and new progress report. I will say, before even getting into this, if circumstances were different, I would say this is actually a stellar update. Like, they do a very good job talking through everything, which is actually really, really nice. Like, they do it really well. They didn't always do that because they were always making videos, and I didn't want to watch the videos. You can't search videos as you can on text, but they did a good job here. As you can see, they're making a lot of minis. They're actively producing it and making that. It's not a joke. That is a real game being made, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, they're really happy with the feedback and the quality and stuff. They talk about all the changes they had to do to some of the storage and stuff. One of the interesting things here was right here. This is actually kind of odd. It says, even though our new production manager has experience in industrial production, this exchange was with the factory was his first experience with miniature production with its many idiosyncrasies, and it took him a little longer than expected. I can say that this happens to every indie developer as well. None of you realize typically how much back and forth and nuance there is in miniature creation. It's definitely like the most difficult part of the manufacturing process when it comes to actually designing it and getting it right and getting the quality in there and the packaging and all that kind of stuff. It is involved. Multiple back and forths to get it good, especially if you're doing minis like this that are kind of more fancy, right? If it's simpler, it's a little bit easier. But they have all the white samples. They've been improving all that. They do have a timeline here. Delivery will begin March 6th. It's a very specific date. Do not expect March 6th to actually be the date, but early March, ideally, is kind of what they're doing here. So that's very cool to see the final, like, you know, hey, it's actually coming. It's actually being made. And you guys that are actually getting it in for a treat, it is a fantastic game. So much fun. I loved playing the prototype of this game. So excited to get the final version that I paid for a long time ago. Obviously, the big thing here is the refunds. Everybody's asking about refunds. This is why, they actually say, by the way, where they're at with refunds. If I can find it real quick. So right here it says that they are on July 21st, 2022 with refunds. So if you have asked for a refund anywhere since then, they haven't gotten to you yet, but they've gotten it through July 21st, 2022. So they're a little behind, right? Because they only refund based off of, essentially they allow a budget, so they can do all their expenses, still make the game, and then also issue refunds. I still think this was all a bad idea. The problem with refunds is exactly this. You string people along when it's not really viable. So if you didn't back refunds till, I'm surprised they're at July 21st, 2022, but that still leaves a lot of people that have asked for a refund that essentially just aren't going to get it. It's going to deliver by March of like next year, and they're not going to get caught up on the refund. So a lot of you are just going to get the game even though you requested a refund. I assume. Like, I don't even know how that works. Or you don't, and then you still have to wait for your refund and you don't get the game when you could have gotten the game and have sold it if nothing else. So it's just a messy situation that just strings you guys along with this false hope of like, maybe I'll get a refund eventually. It's a bummer. It's a crappy situation no matter what, but it's not ripping off the Band-Aid. It's just keeping the wound like seeping. And that's gross on purpose. Like, it's not a pleasant experience for anybody asking for a refund when you're that far behind. And and it just hurts the company too. It's messy no matter what. It's a bad situation no matter what, but I hate offering something that isn't actually going to be provided anytime soon. Like, that is just stringing you along even more than the game itself. Like, it's a bummer. Anyway, didn't mean to end on a bad note. There's a ton of awesome games coming out, in case you couldn't tell. It is definitely getting towards Q4 of this year, which means it's getting big quick. That Witcher game, gonna explode, guaranteed. It looks like a lot of fun. I can't say it's a lot of fun yet because I haven't played it yet, but I will, and I'll let you know. Again, be sure to subscribe. Guys, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Oh, also, the t-shirt sale. Go ahead and check it out. All right, take care, guys. Bye.